students that be listening to this, you don't have to do this little quiz here. This is only for the on-campus students because, as I mentioned, what happened about a year ago is that they took out 2 of the on-ground classes and replaced them with these online go-to sessions. So they're required for the on-campus students, even though everybody, including online students, should be attending these things as well. But this is just for the on-campus students to like kind of prove that they were there, right? So let's look at the questions, okay? Number 1, what piece of real or hypothetical content have you chosen for the project? So this is simple as you could write, a film about, let's just say, a magic kingdom or something, something like that, right? Or a book about a magic kingdom, or an album that's tentatively called, you know, um, the telephone or something like that, right? Or a video game that's called Grand Theft Auto or something like that. I mean, obviously not Grand Theft Auto for real, but I mean, you get the idea, right? So that's number 1, is just tell us a little bit about like what your project is. So now keep in mind, you still have until Sunday to figure that out. So it's not like you have to make a decision immediately, but I mean, you want to get going on project 1 as soon as possible. So try to figure that out pretty soon, relatively, and join a Google Doc team, of course, and begin project 1. Don't wait till the last minute. And so that's number 1. It's just to tell us what you've chosen. Number 2, very simple. This isn't rocket science. What Google team have you joined? So it has to be either what? Team books, could be like, books, or it could be film, or it um, could be games, or it could be music, right? One of those 4. And Marcus, or Maurice, that's all right. Actually, though, we were just about, we're actually done now. We're going through the attendance questions for the on-campus students. But this is being recorded, so that's okay if you came in late. I'm going to put this in the archives, probably if it works, later tonight, if not tomorrow. And of course, you can always go back and go to our references and check out any of those archives. They're pretty much all the same. So, but if you want to catch up this most recent one, we're almost done here. So, as soon as we get done with this little attendance question that the on-campus students have to answer, we'll go ahead and I'll try to put this on the archives tonight, so you can, check this out in like hopefully like within a half hour or so. And so number 2 is, simply what team have you joined? So it could be one of the 4, right? Oh, and by the way, let me, before we go further too, let me make one thing that let me clarify something that I should have said earlier. There's these 4 categories, right? These 4, but keep in mind that if you're doing a magazine or something like that, that would fall under books, right? So even though these are the 4 categories, use common sense as to where's your project would fall into, right? If you're doing, for example, a TV show, you would be in team film, right? Or even like a webisode series, something like that. Team games is pretty much straightforward. If you're doing an online game or a game for a console, obviously either of those is going to go into team games. And of course, music, that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, number 3, why is it inappropriate to choose a talent or booking agent for this project? And what type of agent would you need for your particular project or for your content? Well, it's simple. The reason why it's inappropriate is because, once again, this talent or booking agent applies more towards your or to your project and artist management class that you had a couple months ago. So the answer to this would be because a talent agent shops the talent, or let's say shops the star, but in this class, we're looking for agents to shop the creative contents. The keyword there is content, of course, or shop the work, right? So the project and artist management class, that's about shopping the talent, This class is about shopping the work. The agents for this class that you're going to be finding don't really care about you as the talent. They care about the work and whether they can represent it and get it to make money. And so for this type of the second part of this question, what type of agent would you need for your particular content? Once again, if you're on team books, then you would need, you need a literary agent. If you are on games, then you would need it's difficult with games because with games, it's in some cases you're not shopping to exactly to an agent. Sometimes you're shopping to the game creator, but in that case, use your best judgment as to who you can find, basically. For those of you on team film, you would either be shopping what's called a film sales agent or a literary agent, because you'll find several literary agents that represent not only books but also screenplays, right? And of course, if you're in team music, then you're going to be looking for what's called a songwriting agent, right? Because songwriting agents will, again, shop the songs. They're not always going to be interested in shopping you and getting you gigs necessarily, but they will shop the songs. And so obviously, we showed you the guide. You want to find the guide to songwriting agents would be your book, right? So of course, and you don't have to type these answers exactly as I'm saying, but you get the idea, right? Number 4, what's the ways that were discussed in which you can find an agent? Okay, so let me just real quickly go back to the slides. Okay, you can find an agent in any of these guides, right? Guide to literary agents, songwriting, writer's market, how to get a literary agent, or you can also put for that one, so you could say like industry books, and you could also say online sources like the Writers Guild of America, for example, and some other sites out there, right? And number 5, what kind of letter formatting style is required for the project? You would say business style, block paragraph formatting. So you would not say indented, right? We're not doing indented. We're not doing APA. We're not doing MLA. We're using business style, block paragraph. And if you want to elaborate on that, it would be, single space, 2 spaces between the paragraphs, not indented for paragraphs, So anything like that would be acceptable for number 5. Number 6, what are acceptable ways in which you can source, cite the agent you've chosen for this project? Once again, it can be as literally simple as copying and pasting the URL, or it could be, in this student's case, he actually explained it, and you'll see here, all he did is just provide, the management house, if you will, artist house management. So the management place and then the URL, that's fine. It doesn't have to be APA, doesn't have to be MLA, doesn't have to be Chicago style or any of those other styles. You can simply just copy and paste the link. That's all Kim and I care about, right? Okay, number 7, what is a sizzle opener? Okay, first of all, where is it found? It's the opening paragraph. So that's easy, right? And what is it? It's kind of it's the opening hook that gets, or we'll say that captures the agent's attention. It's the thing that makes the agent go, wow, right? Okay, number 8, what kind of information should you provide in your query letter? Well, for this one, I would say a good way to answer number 8 would be information about the work, information about yourself as the artist slash author, whatever it might be, slash creator, and information about how they can contact you. I would say those 3 things. And there might be some other things you can add in there as well, but I mean, the main things though that you need to provide in the query letter is information about the work, why it's viable, information about yourself, what makes you credible, and finally, how are they going to contact you? As a case in that example, that second query letter that I showed you, remember that that was that writer's big mistake. He had a pretty good query letter, but there was no way to contact him other than snail mail, and that's really stupid, right? You don't always want to provide your email address and phone number there as well. And number 9, of course, what resources do we provide to help you with this assignment? Well, let's just go back real quickly to here. We provide these. You can just like literally, the agent query tips before you contact an agent, literary agent guide, sample query letter, and of course, you could even say the go-to session, the archived go-to session, right? I mean, these are all in the references. So like if you go to your FSO page and you just click on the references, all these things are there. And even, at least for the online students, I believe, and actually I think even for you on-campus students, I believe some of these things are provided right in the assignments themselves. In other words, like once you click on Project 1, like some of these things should be here. Okay, so that's that. And then finally, number 10, how long should a query letter be? The answer to this one is no longer than a page. And by the way, you don't have to write this down for the answer, but I mean, the reason for that partially is the fact that a lot of these agents get literally dozens and dozens of these query letters each day, right? Or each week at least. And really, they just want to they want you as the writer just to get to the point. I mean, just tell them like they got a million things to do. They're reading all these query letters. They're out there trying to negotiate. You guys had that whole class with negotiation, right? And they're constantly in contact with all these people in the industry. They just want you to get to the point. Okay, so Paul, the name of those 3 books here are, let me go back to them. Here, I'll even type them down in the chat box here. So there is the Guide to Literary Agents. There is the Songwriters Market. There is How to Get a Literary Agent. And actually, those are just some of them. There's other books out there. In fact, there's a guy, I forget his name offhand, but he came out with a book specifically for film people, for screenplay writers, screenwriters basically, and he's got a listing of like all kinds of agents. The only problem with that book though is that it's quite dated at this point. I mean, we're talking. I mean, this is like, maybe even 10 years ago at this point. I don't even remember how long that book came out, but even today though, even if you get that book, a lot of those agents are still around. They might have different contact information, but if you do Google searches on them, you'll still be able to find them. But I mean, there's other sources around as well, but those are just a couple of those books. Yeah, well, Maurice, yours would be the Songwriters Market there. Yeah, Songwriters Market, but there's other ones there as well. And or Maurice, I'm sorry, and also Maurice, I was telling Paul before that a lot of times these books are going to cost money, but there's ways around that. Like if you go to any kind of library, you can just simply take it off the shelf. And in fact, I know the UCF library won't even let you check out these books. Anyways, even if you wanted to. But you just take it off the shelves and then you can make copies of pages. You can write down copies of, or you can just simply find these at Barnes and Noble, which still, at least there's a couple in Orlando that still exist. They haven't gone completely online, but you can go to one of those places and you can find any of these books there and do the same thing. Just go to the coffee place, write down the contact information, and and then just put it back on the shelf and it won't cost you anything. Oh, Paul. Okay, yeah. Actually, I don't know if I told you guys this, but I also go to UCF too. I'm in the Text and Technology, the PhD program there. So, in fact, that's one of the reasons why we have to have these things at on Tuesdays is because I have class on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Thursdays are usually it's a little bit too late in the week, anyways. So I think at this point, I know that Maurice, you were a little bit late, but that's okay. I'm gonna try to put this online right now as soon as we get off here, and also even if that can't get done in time, because sometimes these things take a while with technology and with our system, unfortunately. And in recent months, we've been having a lot of trouble with putting these things and saving them because for some reason on my new computer, these things, and I don't know if it's the computer or what, but they save and there's just these huge files and they don't let us put them on there on the Full Sail system. So I have to put them on YouTube, and sometimes even that can take a while because YouTube will allow for a certain amount of space, but then sometimes it says it's too big, so we have to break it up. So, anyways, if I can't do that tonight, then you can always go back to our previous archives. We have a lot of them there in the references, and just go to a week one, and it's the same basic information that we've given out tonight. And of course, if anybody has a question, obviously the project one isn't due until Sunday, and of course, Paul and anybody else that might be listening to this in the on campus, of course, we'll see you guys on Thursday and Saturday, even before this is due. So if you have any questions, you can contact us obviously through email or phone, but you can also for you on campus students, you can obviously you'll see us in class. So if you have any questions, and for you online students, of course, if you have any questions, just go ahead and send us an email, and we'll be sure to get back to you. We're actually really fast with emails, like usually less than 24 hours. So okay, so I just want to thank you guys for attending, and I'm going to go ahead here and I'll stop the recording right now.